You are highly welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm humbled to be here and I'm excited to be here as well.
Thank you. My name is Mary Jane, and I'm the moderator for this section. So I'm gonna read your profile briefly while we wait for the others. Um, okay. Okay. We have in this section we have Mr. Oscar Chavez who will be joining us, and we have Dr. George Ogunjimi. They will be joining us shortly. So since you are here, I'll be reading your profile. So Dr. Victor Abi is the Chief Servant VS Solution Limited Ghana. He's an energetic and goal-oriented corporate executive with over 20 years of experience in top-level organization, team leadership, and operations management. A business administrative doctorate degree holder with demonstrable team leadership, operational efficiency, and change management skills and capability. So since we just have you here, probably they're having network issues. I don't know, but we'll just keep the section going. So I would like to get your idea on the topic, the role of corporate leaders, board members in promoting good leadership, in promoting good governance practices. So what do you think about the topic? What are really the roles of business leaders, corporate leaders, board members? What are your thoughts on the topic, sir?
Thank you very much, Mary Jane. As I indicated earlier, I think it's exciting to be part of this program. In fact, corporate leadership or corporate governance, generally speaking, is something that is key to the success of all organizations, regardless of the kind of business they are into or not. Whether you are in the public service organization or you are in the private sector, corporate governance is key to the success fundamentally to any of those entities. So when we talk about, first of all, we need to establish, I want to believe that the previous sessions have established fundamentally what corporate governance is all about. Corporate governance, in my view and in my experience, has basically to do with the establishment and compliance with procedures, rules, processes, and guidelines as established um, by ethical and legal, rules and all that. So if we establish that within lying between or in between those guidelines or processes are things like the product generation or service generation, marketing, financial prudence, and all that. But I consider above all leadership. And for me, the key role that leadership plays is what determines the success or destruction of the organization or company. Why do I say so? So when it comes to the role that they play, or leaders, be it at the corporate level or at the board level, play fundamentally for me has to do with creation of an effective culture, a culture that you know endures to the test of time, that can go beyond the immediate demands, that stand turbulent times, a culture that motivates, a culture that speaks to encourage all across board, a culture that promotes innovation, a culture that you know promotes compliance and all that. Not that it's a preserve for some people that the rules are set, but the leaders at the corporate level, at the board level, are exceptions. So let's pick an example. When it comes to financial prudence, how or what is the behavior of the corporate leaders or the governors, the board members? What's their behavior towards financial prudence? Are they that you know? frivolous in their expenditure, or the culture that they establish among themselves where monies are spent without any accountability. These are all things that will determine whether the corporate governance succeed or not. Fundamentally, that's what I'll say for now, while we proceed further on the discussion. Mary Jane.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that insight. Okay. What do you think are really the challenges that these leaders or the board members experience or they encounter that hinders them from promoting practices that are best for the organization or company? Because most times you might find them maybe external forces, and you find this affecting the way they make decisions or making the right decisions. So what do you think are the challenges that they usually face, and then it will in turn affect their decision making or the way they make decisions for the company or the organization?
Yes, you rightly mentioned external factors, even though internal factors can also be key to those challenges that they face. But one key external challenge that very much influences or is a challenge to most board and corporate leaders has to do with stakeholder interest in certain key decision making points. So, for example, um, rules have been established or guidelines have been provided, procedures have been set, and external stakeholders like shareholders are demanding that certain things be done with regards to expenditure, investment decisions, or these critical shareholders are the lifeline to the company and they are influencing decisions. Sometimes the board members find it very difficult. But I say, in all this, it calls for understanding of the key interest of the various stakeholders, external stakeholders. What are their interests? It can come from the fact that they hold the key to the success of the organization or the financial muscle of the organization. But how do you kind of maneuver around all this by engaging extensively, to promote understanding at all levels? A key stakeholder like even the government can influence or can be a challenge to even the board members. Maybe government or the public institution has interest in the organization, and this they are influencing a certain decision with regards to appointment of certain personalities. Just an example, how one can imagine the challenge, but again, the board members, the corporate leaders understanding the various demands, the various interests, and how they can circumvent these interests will go a long way to let them surmount the challenges or not. That's what I would say. And then you see, one key issue is that there's no there's no way board members or corporate leaders can avoid these external or challenges brought upon them by external stakeholders. It will be there. So leaders and board members are better off schooling themselves on how to negotiate, how to maneuver around these challenges to surmount them. That will be key for me.
All right. Well,
It's
wow, you did
unfortunate
justice
that
to.
I am only sharing my perspective. I pray that the other panel members will join so that we can have a diversity of views.
Of course, of course. And that was a very nice one, sir, I must say. Okay. When it comes to, ethical conduct in an organization or in a company, what mechanism do you think the board can employ to ensure that there are ethical conduct throughout the company? That stakeholders get to, um, align with these conducts and probably obey all of these conducts, how do you think they can, what mechanism do you think they can use? Did you get
Well,
that?
Mary Jane, yes, I got it. Fundamentally, I believe it's about, as I said from beginning, compliance with the rules or the guidelines themselves. If you leadership by example, isn't it? So if you find yourself at the board level or at the corporate level where you are in that leadership position, you must set the right examples. You must follow the rules yourself, and you must adhere to directives that you yourself or your team members or the board provides. Without that, you cannot hold people accountable for different rules against the rules that you set for yourself. So one key way for me is strict compliance by across board, strict compliance across board, whether at the board level, whether at the corporate level, and then that is expected of everybody. So if the board chairman, for example, decides to, toe a different line apart from what is set and agreed upon, that becomes problematic. But if everybody is on the same page, everybody takes what he or she is entitled to, or everybody plays the role that he or she is, strive to play, that shouldn't be a problem at all. It should inure to the benefit of the organization. Everybody will see clearly that this is what happens both at the board level and at the corporate level. So there's no way anybody can question the behavior of the board members or the corporate leaders. So leadership by example for me is what it will take to, survive.
Okay, there is this question I really want to get to understand. In a case where let me just say majority of these board members are corrupt, you understand, probably some of them are actually corrupt, and then they don't really do things in accordance to you know the ethical conduct, and then they don't really want to do things the right way. And then there are a set of other people that really want things to be done the right way. And then the other persons, they have the majority. What can you do if you are a leader? What can you actually do? Because in this case, the majority are against the right things to do. Because there are cases like that. Some of them are actually against the right things to do. And then there are a lot of them, and then these are a group of other people, and they are not really much. So what can be done in such situations?
This is a very perfect scenario you have painted. It is very realistic. It persists in most organizations or most public institutions, if I may put it that way. And this is where I believe that as a member of a board or a corporate institution, individuals should have values that they live by and principles that they follow. If majority may not always be right anyway. I do not believe that majority, once they are in the majority, it means they are right. So if by as a matter of principles laid down, you the individual knows very well that this is against the principles that you have all agreed upon and you are against it, it is counterproductive to whatever you have agreed upon. You should stand firm by your principles or by those laid down principles. Even if need be, you should resign to demonstrate your non-acceptance of such decisions. But unfortunately, in our parts of the world, in Africa, it is difficult to hear people resigning based on principles. A few cases have been recorded, but I believe that if you want to be a very principled or astute board member, a leader with character, you should demonstrate to the majority if they are wrong that they are indeed wrong by, not being part of that or not say, okay, if the majority says this, I stand by it. You are part of it. Once you endorse it succinctly, you are part of it. So I believe that you should resign if it is against the principles laid down. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Because the truth is this: if you follow, the majorities are not always right. So, or
Yeah.
you as a leader, you are supposed to have these laid down rules that people are supposed to, follow. So you as a leader, and then you follow the majority, then you are not really leading properly. Thank you so much for that, sir. Thank you so much. That was a very nice point. Thank you.
There may be,
Okay.
excuse me to quickly also add that there may be times that if you may be wrong, maybe you are the board chairman, or you are the corporate, you are the CEO, you may be wrong, and you should be, humble enough to accept that in this regard I am wrong, and you know stand to be corrected. Thank you.
Okay. That's a very nice point also. Yeah, of course. Of course. Wow. Okay, so how do you actually get your stakeholders to run with the vision? Because most times you know of course they know that this is what the organization is about, and these are the missions. But then how do you get them to run with this vision to actually pursue and get to that point the organization or the company wants to get? How do you relate this to them in a realistic way, in a way that makes more sense to them, not just by paper writing it down? This is our mission, this is our vision. How do you get them to understand and run with this vision?
Yeah, Mary Jane, visions are, for me, they are only realistic when they are lived or when they are pursued vigorously. So yes, it's a future picture, or if you like, a futuristic destination that you have painted to the stakeholders, including your employees, the board members, and all other stakeholders. How do you get them to appreciate the realistic nature of that vision? The small gains, you know, consistency, focus, determination, and then demonstrating the small gains made and showcasing those small gains to them, constantly would demonstrate to them that, okay, so the vision is achievable. Mind you, when a vision is, put out there, not so many people will even believe in that vision. The only few may appreciate the fact that this vision is achievable or attainable. It is when the vision is broken down into smaller goals, and those goals are worked upon from time to time with timelines attached. And once those goals are being achieved, it demonstrates to all stakeholders that indeed we are inching closer to the vision, or this vision is realistic or not. Once the vision is not broken down and are being pursued, vigorously and consistently, it may be more delusional to a lot of people. So I am saying that visions set out by organizations must be broken down into goals, and those goals must be given timelines. And once you are working to achieve those goals gradually, everybody becomes clearer in their minds that this vision is realistic, and then it motivates, it inspires them to get to work and work harder towards the attainment of other goals. Again, but in addition, the space, the environment must be constantly monitored to ensure that the vision as it has been spelled out needs to be reshaped a bit, or modified, or modified in a way to suit the challenging times. When COVID, for example, COVID surfaced, a lot of things happened, and companies had to quickly sit back and review their vision. Say, where are we? How long will it take us to get to where we want to get to? The timelines they set for themselves, they need to rework on those timelines. And these are things that means that the business or the corporate leaders or the board members are being realistic with the vision. And by so doing, all other stakeholders will buy into the vision and say, okay, we are at a stage where we think there are hitches, we need to correct those hitches, and we keep moving. That way, a lot of people will get a buy-in, and then you scale up your approach to working towards attainment of that vision.
Okay. Wow, that's beautiful. So, how often do you think board members should review these visions and missions of theirs?
Well, every organization has its own set, timelines for reviewing. But I believe that at I personally propose even every weekly meeting, there must be a discussion concerning the vision of the company, because within a day, a lot happens. So if weekly the team is looking at their vision statement vis-a-vis their performance, it will aid them in determining whether they are on course or not. So it must be as frequent as possible. It is not only, after a long while, or some will say after a year, then you review. No, constantly. That is my personal belief, that constantly I will suggest, or I will recommend weekly review to determine whether you are on course or not. Because as the team meets, discussions around performance must be, linked to the vision. So you ascertain whether you are on course or you are not on course. Then you see what you can do to get back on course, or to kind of modify your vision, not in its totality, but the goals that are, have been developed out of the vision, towards the attainment of that vision.
Okay, that's beautiful. So, getting to review the vision, um, quite steady will help the organization to know if it's achieving what is supposed to achieve or not. That's quite beautiful. Um, okay. I also have this question for you. In the context of corporate social responsibilities, how can leaders ensure that the organizations contribute meaningfully to social well-being, while maintaining profitability? So how do they ensure that they are, contributing to the social responsibilities? The leaders in the organization, they are contributing meaningfully to societal well-being. How do you think that while maintaining profitability actually? So how do you think they can do that?
Okay. Um, I guess this morning we touched on ESG, environment, social, and governance was the keynote address for this summit. And when we talk about that, what it basically means is that we have moved away from corporate social CSR to ESG, where the dynamics have changed to even look within the organization itself. So if it's about impacting on society positively without necessarily impacting on profitability, one of the there are some key areas that a business can look at. Operating ethically to preserve the environment, for example, can also contribute to social well-being. So when you come to, let's say you look at in Ghana, we have a menace of illegal mining, which is impacting very negatively on the environment. The water bodies are being affected. So a company that is operating socially responsible or is socially responsible will ensure that its operations will not impact negatively on the environment, will even make sure that there is clean water for the community members and for its own staff as well. That is one way of ensuring that you are socially responsible. you are promoting the well-being of society or communities that you're operating in. That may not impact on your profitability in any way, but rather making it more positive. Or, another way is providing such or preventive measures where a reduction in health related issues are recorded within the operational space, so that maybe hitherto health problems were more, but your operations should be able to limit those health issues. Again, it's about environmental, operating environmentally responsible so that it doesn't impact on the people, and then also providing basic social amenities. And those ones may not necessarily impact on your profitability. And then when it comes to internal stakeholders like your employees and all that, processes that are followed to provide support to your staff or your internal stakeholders are put in place, so that even when it comes to cost effectiveness, procurement of logistics are done in a more responsible manner from local communities. So the local communities, you are promoting the local economy. Those things will not impact on your profitability, but it's rather promoting economic empowerment of the local communities you are operating in. Unlike, or instead of procuring your logistics from the bigger cities or far remote or even external to your operational area, all these things are things that organizations can do to impact positively and be socially responsible. And a lot more. But for time, I will limit it to these few ones.
Okay, wow, that was a wonderful one. So if I understood what you said properly, even without gaining profit from some of these things, it's actually necessary to contribute to social well-being of probably the community you are in or any region you are in. Well, that's a very nice point. That's very wonderful to hear. Okay. Okay, what steps do you think the organizations or companies can take to promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace? Because most times in the workplace, we don't find these things. So what do you think that the board members or the leaders can do to, promote diversity and promote inclusion in the workplace? What do you think we can do? We can do?
Okay.
This is actually very necessary as a if you are an employee, you need all these things to thrive in the workplace. So what are the steps you think that they can, promote?
Okay. So when it comes to diversity, I must say diversity in today's world is the key denominator for effective leadership and innovation. So if any leader, you are a leader of a corporate entity or an organization, and you do not embrace diversity at the workplace, you are losing out big time. So every leader must endeavor to be focused on diversity. By diversity, we mean, people with different, from different backgrounds, different, perspective, and ensuring that everybody, it can even be, it comes from even age. Age differences can also contribute to diversity at the workplace. So leaders must endeavor and intentionally work to understand the various perspectives from different groups within the workplace, from cultural perspective, from demographic perspectives, from racial perspective. Everybody must work to understand all these things. I'll give you an example. The different generational cohorts that we have within the workspace today range from Generation X to Gen Zs. And these generational differences are diversified positively for the benefit of the organization. How does a Gen X person, leader, understand the the characteristics of Gen Z to be able to, harness the capabilities of the Gen Zs to promote the effectiveness of the organization's operations? These are questions that a Gen X person should be asking him or herself constantly to appreciate the perspectives. So Gen X are not that tech savvy, but Gen Zs are tech savvy. So how do I tap into the space of the Gen Zs to, promote technology within the workspace for effectiveness and efficiency of my processes and procedures and operations? These are things that can help to, promote productivity and promote understanding of the business and promote productivity in general, or success of the organization in general. So from cultural perspective, from demographic perspective, from even political perspectives, diversity must be understood very well, must be intentionally promoted, and must be intentionally pursued by all leaders across. Now, I mentioned Gen Z. How does the Gen Z person also appreciate the times and characteristics of the Gen X, the work culture, the attitude of the Gen Z, the expectations of the Gen X? These are the, excuse me to say, the older folks within the workspace. They have a peculiar way of doing their things. How does the Gen Z person position him or herself to appreciate the demands or the expectations of the Gen X person, so as to be able to work harmoniously within the workspace? Mind you, the Gen X, they have so much experience accrued, and then they can share a whole lot for you to appreciate the fact that, yes, technology is aiding you as a Gen Z person, but from the perspective of the Gen X, things can also be done differently. And so it doesn't look too robotic, it doesn't look dismissive. You must have an open mind. So, in effect, what I'm trying to say is that to be able to function well in a diversified environment, leaders must have a growth mindset, and they must promote a culture of, creativity within the workspace, understanding each other and appreciating that they all have certain strengths that they bring on board, that when they are able to marry these strengths together, they will be able to achieve more. That is the surest way to attain a lot, and to achieve a lot.
Well, that's quite insightful, and well, that's very nice. Okay. Earlier on, you mentioned about the challenges. So I would like to know um the challenges we face in the world, board members face, in getting most of these rules out. What do you think are the possible solutions, or probably the challenges they face from the outside forces, external or internal forces, perhaps? What do you think are the possible solutions to all this? Because I really want to get the point of this. Because most organizations, most board members, they are facing a lot of these issues, but then they do not really know the solutions, solutions that can actually work out for them to fix up these issues. So when they are facing these challenges in making decisions for their organizations or their companies, what do you think are the solutions they should look out for, or the solutions that they should, try to apply in a scenario like that?
Well, Mary Jane, I still stand by my point that ethical behavior, right, by the leaders across board is what is the key solution to any challenge that they encounter. And also intentionally acquiring the skills of, stakeholder engagement, negotiation, and, trying to, in this case, let me use the word lobby in a positive sense. Lobby by trying to air the positive side of things to the other stakeholders to appreciate what the right things are and how those things will inure to the benefit of the organization. Because whether we like it or not, those challenges we have, the interests or the influences from external sources will always be there. how do you, as a matter of principle, stand firmly to, convince, if you like, all those people that the right thing to do is what you are doing by demonstrating that this is what you stand for? So, in a typical situation where um, an interest is being sought. Let's say, I'll give you a typical example where maybe a church member wants to a certain person to be appointed into a certain role within the organization. But as a board, you do not think after interacting with such a person that he has what it takes to occupy that role. Let's take the role as the CEO or the CFO. He is to be appointed because the stakeholder feels that he must occupy that role. The board members must stand firm and indicate to that stakeholder that indeed these are the implications. And if all persuasions fail, they must apply the final, the final trip, which is for me self, inflicting. That is to say, I stand by my principles and I am not going to be part of this. So all manner of negotiation skills must be acquired. um, Compliance with the rules by being an example must be there. But at the end of the day, for me, the solution is that principles must be principles. After all efforts fail, you must stand by your principles. That's what I'll say. It's challenging, but that for me is the key. If I understand the question right.
Yeah, of course. Get Yeah, I had to ask that question again because now in organizations, you find rules that are not really in accordance with that are not really right for the organization. And then there are leaders, there are board members, and they are the ones that enacted such rules, enacted such whatever. So that was actually my concern because you find these things and then it's as if their hands are tied. They can't really do anything about whatever is happening. So that's why I had to repeat the question because these are occurrences that we find in different companies, in our different organizations, and then people are here to find solutions to whatever it is that they are facing. So these are one of the problems that they are facing. So, but you've done justice to that. I agree with you, and you've really done justice to this. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Victor Adi. It was nice time having you, and I appreciate your insight and everything you've said. Um, thank you so much once again for joining us at the Corporate Governance Summit 2024, and thank you once again. So, with
Thank
all
you.
you have
Thank you for having me.
with all you have said here today, I believe that we can grab one or two things to apply in various organizations or companies or wherever it is you might find this helpful for. So thank you once again for the insights. Thank you once again for the knowledge shared. We appreciate that.
I'm grateful for having me as well.
Yeah.
I wish
Thank you.
you the best for
Thank
the
you so
rest
much.
of the session.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day ahead.
Right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.